So we're at Superbooth 2017 with Chris from Audio Damage, talking about the benefits of vegan Wi-Fi, energized water, all the benefits that Berlin offers.
Crystals.
Yeah, crystals on your bill. Let's check out Eos. You want to talk us through the reverb?
So we've got Eos here. It's just started shipping. It's the first units went to Control last week, and Alex 4, Analog Haven, everybody get it some next week when I get home. It is a code identical copy of a Eos plugin. Actually, this is probably terrible of me to say, but someone yesterday came up and he said I have Eos plugin. What's the difference between that and this? And I said presets and $450. I'll always be closing. That's me. Number one at sales. So now that's on video. Anyway, but that's essentially it. It's a studio quality, reverb in Eurorack. If you are playing shows and you have big sky or space or something, on the side, and you have to do all that patching or whatever, this will solve that problem for you, and it's CV controlled.
Yeah. Well, traditionally, with the reverbs and the effects have lagged in processing in Euro.
Well, that's this. ARM 7 came out that we've used ARM something else on all the rest of these, and this STM32F746 came out, and it gave us enough power to run plugins. So
will we see other plugins in the future?
Yeah. Enso has some of our other Audio Damage products in it, and we're thinking about how to best approach that now that we have the ability to put a full plugin in the module. I don't want to just clone our entire...
No, but we get the benefits of the CV as well in the
exactly.
format.
And having it in the rig. When I perform with Euro personally, I don't want to have a computer there.
No, especially if it's just for a couple of plugins.
Exactly, yeah. And at home, I use Eos on everything. I have my push 2 and my whole hybrid system. But I don't want to take that out when I play a show. I just want to take this. So the goal in reproducing this in Euro was to get rid of the things we really need. And the same thing with compressor. Compressor is our Rough Rider plugin. I wanted to have that on the 2-bus. And so we made a module for it, and it is done very well. So obviously other people needed that, but
even things like not using it for ducking, but being able to CV the makeup gain means you can then duck while doing other things. And there are benefits in the system beyond just your initial. The difference is X amount of price, and it's in thing. There's a lot more to it than that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the main benefit is you don't need a computer to run it. But as far as the algorithm goes, it's actually the same code. The project that we build this code with it's pulling the same algorithm, the same code that Sean Costello wrote for us for the plugin.
Yeah, great. Well, let's hear it. Let's check it out.
All righty. So that's our upcoming desktop synth, which I'm not going to talk about, is playing the audio, and I have that running through Eos here. Eos has 2 algorithms, Super Hall and Plate, and this is the Super Hall algorithm. So that's just the pre-delay, and the attack control on Super Hall spreads out the early reflections. So when the attack is all the way up, all the early reflections are compressed to 1, and it becomes a delay.
You're getting almost a chorus in as well with those early reflections.
There's a lot of modulation and stuff. There's a ton going on in this algorithm. So you get that nice spread, and then the diffusion smears it out, and then the decay is where the magic happens. Now, if you're not familiar with the Eos plugin, what we had originally asked Sean to design for us was something that could do those super long reverbs you hear on Harold Budd Brian Eno records on his piano, It's just these incredibly long,
huge modulated beds, really rich.
Exactly, and that was what we wanted for the Super Hall algorithm, and so that's what Eos is best at. So synth sounds with a bit of attack, softer sounds is where is his happy place, and that's when you do the super long reverbs. That's the source you're gonna. And the RT60 when size and decay are all the way up is over a minute, so it's a very long reverb. You know, very rich, and it's like it loves the low mids and the mids, which are normally somewhat problematic at a reverb. And then the main difference between the module and the plugin is that the plugin has 8 controls for the EQ of the tail, or the EQ of the early reflections, which inform the tail. And we compress those down to one knob, just color, which is dark or bright, basically.
Yeah, well, it's much more convenient having a tilt live than I want this a bit brighter or a bit duller, as opposed to trying to find a mid-frequency.
Exactly, and also it saves a lot of money. We don't have 8 extra knobs, 8 CVs, 8 A to D converters, all of that, and we don't lose the processing power of having to smooth all that. So it really saved a lot. I think it was a good trade-off for something. The way I know I use it, and I use Eos in every project, the way I know I use it is that I have the initial preset, and all I do is I just make it a little brighter usually, or a little darker, depending on what I need.
I think live, you don't have time, unless you're the sound guy for the gig, to sit with the EQ on anything.
Exactly. You're hearing the backside of the PA anyway, so you don't know what the hell's going on.
You want the shaping without.
Yeah.
Is it 400? Is it 450?
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing that EOS has, which is common in old reverbs, but not that common in newer reverbs that you see, is a freeze. So, and what this does is it opens all the coefficients in the all-pass filters that comprise the reverb tank to where it has infinite decay. So you hit the freeze button, and it just, or the infinite button we call it, and there it is, and that's that, and it's going to go in forever.
So once that's frozen, there's 2 ideas of thought, and I think you mentioned this in the Perfect Circuit video.
Yeah.
Is the buffer still open to keep feeding audio in, or is it shut because it's a frozen?
Yeah. What I ended up landing on was that my thinking was that in general you would want it open, because if you're going to use the freeze, you're just going to hit it with one sound. And then you have the option to stack it if you want to accumulate it. Since it's a modular system, you obviously have a lot more control over the signal than you do in a DAW. You can get into individual parts of the signal and control when things are going where that's a lot of automation work in a DAW, if you can even automate those parts. So we ended up going with leaving it open.
Yeah. But it gives you the option not to.
Yeah.
Keep hitting it anyway.
I'll make a version of the firmware where it closes, and if somebody has to have it for their personal needs, I'll give them that firmware, and they can install it on there. And because he says that all our digital products have a USB port on the back for field updates, so I can do something like that. If someone has to have it for a show, it has to close. It's the only way it'll work for them. I can make that happen.
Yeah.
But the shipping unit, the inputs stay open when the Infinite's on. And Infinite has 2 modes. It's a locking mode, which is then the button is a momentary on-off, or a toggle. And the jack as well works the same way. The jack takes a trigger when it's in lock mode, and then when it's unlocked, then the button is momentary, and the jack takes a gate.
Okay.
So however you want to use it live, you have both options. Yeah. So like if you have a very short reverb and you got it on drums, you want to send it a random gate to randomly hold, then the non-locked version is what you want. But if you're doing it live and you want a drone, then you want the locked one. There you go. There's your drone. Have a nice day. Do something else.
Yeah.
Instant ambient record right there. So that's about it for Eos. It's $495, US $495. It is now shipping. We will have them for direct order in 10 days. They'll be on the way to stores in about 6 days.
Yeah, cool. And we'll just get a quick look at Enso, shift some cameras, and we'll cut back in. Okay, let's check out Enso. Let us start a Looney Tunes. We'll put the ring around and we'll burst out of the ring.
What you don't know is that we stopped for 10 minutes just now to make fun of Paul Barker from DinSync. And Ross. And Andreas Snyder. Everyone. No, we didn't make fun of Andreas.
No, sorry. No, we didn't say anything.
Nothing but love for him. Okay. So Enso, we have the panel design set in stone, but the software we're still working on. So I can't give a huge demo of it, but I can give you an overview of what we have so far. This software is the same software I demonstrated at Perfect Circuit 2 weeks ago. We are having some blocking issues with loading the WAV files off the SD card. So Adam has solved that problem, but he's on vacation in Japan. And I thought it a bad idea to put untested software on here and bring it to the biggest trade show.
Yeah.
So I have the older software still. But it gives you a good idea. The UI is generally what it is. So Enso it's at one time speed, it's 50 seconds stereo, 48K, 24-bit looper. And the main mode is to make a clock looper where you could just grab a couple bars of your set and let it loop for a minute while you make a new patch and then crossfade to it. That was the number one job it had to do, and so that's what we've got done so far. So that's what I'll show off real quick. So I got a simple drum loop going here. So pretend I'm on stage and all sweaty and everything's awesome. You can see I have a 1-click per measure clock coming in, and this is the light. I got it coming from sequencer 1. It's the accent. So at the beginning of every measure, it's getting a clock. Now, you can set it to free, and it'll just be a looper. And you can just use these buttons, or you can send it triggers to which will control the buttons here. Or you can set the number of clocks it takes to grab a loop. So I have it set to 2. That's going to be 2 measures with this clock. So I press record in the middle of the measure, and it waits, and then it starts.
So it waits for the next actual trigger to start.
And then now it's looping. Like, you didn't even hear the difference.
No.
There's no way to know it's looping. The audience is none the wiser. And since it's 50 seconds, that's, a third of a song. You can actually do a lot of performance.
Yeah, you're not grabbing a bar.
Exactly. It's a big chunk of time. And if you lower the speed, you lose a little fidelity, but you
buy more time.
Yeah, exactly. I have it at 4 times speed. It's the highest mode, so that's 12.5 seconds. So now that it's looping, I can do... It'll go down to ludicrously slow. Where it's just clicks. You can't even hear it. And then backwards. So if I mess with the speed, it's going to lose sync for a second, but the next clock it gets, it'll pick it up again. So it's still perfectly in sync. I crossfade to the dry signal. That's the real one. They phase cancel a little bit. That's the loop. That's the dry. And then it has when you can overdub. So and this knob here is feedback. It's just like the feedback on the Live Looper plugin. In general, the clock looper works like the Live Looper plugin in clocked mode.
Okay.
In record over mode. So you can always add to it. So the feedback knob, if it's down, then your overdub replaces the dry signal.
Okay.
And then this is the level of, or the loop, and this is the level of the loop re-recorded when you overdub.
You can set it to sort of near 100 feedback, let one really fade out.
Yeah, exactly. So you can actually use it as a clock delay if you want, which brings me to, once you have sound in the buffer, you can change to the other modes and it'll just stay in the buffer. There's three sample looping modes and then 2 real-time modes. So the other sampling moving modes are tape looper. So it's two button presses and you're there. No menu diving, none of that. Yeah. So we tried to keep everything one level of depth.
Yeah.
So that's the tape looper. You can see the splice point. It's still playing this buffer, but the tape looper works like Frippertronics. And it's got a little tape saturation, and you can add to that if you want. And then the sample player if you have sound in the buffer, that'll be what it's working with, and then you can do quantized slices up to 256 or whatever. We might it just might be how much you want to spin the knob, or you can do peak detection slicing. The Joe Mox booth's about to fall on us here. And then you can select the starting slice and the number of slices before it loops. And then this button here will be the trigger when you're... and then the other thing we wanted to do was make it super easy to fill and save the buffer. So if you're in the main clock mode or tape looper or sampler or whatever, all you do is you hold down the encoder and it goes into as I said, the SD card stuff is not working right now, but it'll go into the sample loading screen and you can just scroll to the WAV file you want, hold down the button again, and that'll be in the buffer. So overall, like, we wanted to make it as sophisticated as we could, yet have no menu diving at all. So
yeah, well, I said 2 buttons,
just bing bang boom, and once you can develop muscle memory for it. It's so simple. So, and the 3 buttons can be hit with these gates. So in whatever mode the buttons are doing different things, you can control them however you like. The other 2 modes are Replicant, which is our Replicant plugin. Basically, it's the whole plugin except for the selected beats mode, because you can do that with the
manipulating
jacks.
the inputs.
You can set the selected beats however you want. So we didn't see any point in making a sequencer on this just for that, and it'd be a pain in the ass to program. And then so it only has random beats and then go. And then glitch mode is going to be 3 of the effects from our Automaton plugin, and you will they'll be clocked from the clock input, and then you'll manually turn them on and off. The cycle out you can set it how you like it. If you want it to just molt the input clock, or you can be divisions of the clock or multiplications of that clock, however you need it to. So like if you grab a loop that's 2 measures long and you're using 1 measure clock and you want clocks on it, you'd set it to 32 clocks, 32 of these per cycle, and that'll be your clock.
2 lots of 16th notes,
so,
full 2 bars.
Exactly. So you can make a loop in free mode, and then you can derive clocks from that.
And then control the rest of the system.
Exactly.
Rather than the idea of putting it at the end of the system and buying yourself time to set up the next patch.
That was I wanted that because I do a lot of, if those of you that follow me on YouTube or whatnot, I do a lot of work with tape. That's like how I enjoy making music, and I wanted the tape loop mode to be how I work. With this as a front end rather than right now. I have it on the insert of the mixer, but you guys can't see that. It's over there. I have it on the insert of the mixer, but you would want another one on the front to do sound manipulation, recording, piezo pickups or whatever, and do it, and you can derive a clock that way. So that's where we're at with that. If feel free to drop me an email or hit me up on Twitter if you have any ideas.
Are we looking near the end of the year, or?
Oh no, much sooner than that. I would say this is all we're going to work on, because Eos is shipping, so this is all we're going to be working on until it's shipping. I would say that
summer-ish?
Barring any unforeseen problems, beginning of June, we'll see the first production units.
Okay, cool.
Now, this is a complicated beast, so I can't say that.
Take it with a pinch of salt.
Exactly. It is what it is. Manufacturing is manufacturing.
Yeah.
And price-wise, the only difference between this and Eos internally is that this has a screen and an encoder, and that has 3 pots. So it may actually, don't take me at my word for this,
around the same price.
Yeah, it may be around $495. So
okay,
I would be very happy if we can pull that off. It might be a bit more, it might be a bit less. We won't know.
Less than 1,000.
Oh yeah.
Let's just be safe and say less than.
It'll be less than. It'll be less than. I'll say it'll be less than 5. I'll put that on paper. It'll be.
Okay.
It'll definitely be less than 500. With any luck at all, it'll be less than 400. Or I mean, no, I'm saying. Oh God, back up. It'll be less than 600 for certain. With any luck at all, it'll be less than 5.
Okay. We're going to go back to slagging everyone off.
Yeah.
Bar Andreas.
Yeah. especially Make
That's
Noise.
his job.
Make Noise is the worst. And Coma, they're awful people. They kill babies. No, seriously, I love everybody in this business. It's fantastic.
Right, cheers, Chris.